I was halfway through sanding, down the old dock planks, when I heard the unmistakable sound of a cannonball, a deep whump followed by a spray of water that traveled far too high to be accidental. My lake is usually quiet at this hour. Breezes whisper, herons glide low, the world pretends it's peaceful. But peace never lasts long when you live under an HOA run by a woman who believes her laminated rulebook gives her divine authority. Sure enough, as I looked up, there she was, Karen, slicing through the water like an angry swan. Her neon pink swim cap glowed like a distress signal, which, honestly, matched the distress I felt seeing her in my lake again. I dropped my sander. "Karen, what did I tell you about swimming here?" She popped up, water dripping down her face, somehow already scowling. "This lake is community adjacent," she snapped, emphasizing the last two words like she was citing scripture. Therefore, under Section 8, subparagraph C of the HOA bylaws, "There is no subparagraph C," I reminded her. I checked twice. Karen flipped onto her back, floating like she was posing for a lawsuit brochure. "I have every right to swim here, and your gate doesn't stop me. The public good," she paused to wave dramatically at the trees, "cannot be privatized." I pinched the bridge of my nose. My patience for HOA nonsense has always been thin, but Karen thinned it to tracing paper levels. "Karen, there are crocodiles in this lake." She laughed. Actually laughed. "Oh, please. You're just trying to scare me off because you think you own nature." I almost told her nature owned all of us, and that the crocs didn't care about HOA jurisdiction. But arguing with Karen is like trying to debate a blender on the merits of ice. She swam closer to my dock, glaring up at me. "If you keep harassing me, I'll bring this up at the next board meeting. You're creating a hostile environment." "I'm trying to create a safe environment," I said. "For you. For your legs." Her eyes narrowed. "Are you threatening me?" Before I could answer, something moved in the reeds behind her. A low ripple, subtle but unmistakable. My stomach tightened. "Karen," I said slowly, "get out of the water, now." She smirked. "Oh, look at you, dramatic." But the ripple was getting closer. The ripple cut through the water like a slow-moving shadow, widening as it approached. I felt my heartbeat climb into my throat. I'd seen that exact motion before, usually right before a croc surfaced to sun itself on the far bank. Never this close to my dock. Never this close to a person. "Karen," I repeated, sharper now, "get out." She rolled her eyes. "You HOA violators are all the same. You think shouting makes you right. I'm not shouting, I'm—" A heavy glug interrupted me. Water displaced. Something large shifted beneath the surface. "That," I pointed wildly. "Do you hear that?" Karen finally paused, her expression softening just enough for me to mistake it for concern. "Probably just a turtle." "That is not a turtle," I hissed. Still, she didn't move. She just treaded water, smugly bobbing like a buoy of pure defiance. "You know, ever since you bought that lakeside parcel, you've acted like you're better than everyone else." Another ripple. Much closer. "Karen, please." She sighed dramatically. "Fine, if it'll make you stop whining." She began paddling toward my dock, muttering something about men and their paranoia, but she'd barely closed half the distance when the water behind her bulged upward. My breath froze. A slick, scaled back broke the surface. Dark, ridged, unmistakably reptilian. "Go!" I shouted. Karen turned just enough to see it, and for the first time in all the months I'd known her, I saw the exact moment smugness cracked into terror. She let out a sound, not quite a scream, more like a gasp swallowed by water, and thrashed forward. The croc lunged. The lake exploded. A violent splash, Karen's shriek, the creature's jaws snapping, shut with a horrific clamp that echoed. Across the shoreline, I scrambled to the edge of the dock, reaching out. "Take my hand! Karen, take my hand!" She was flailing wildly, half submerged, her face twisted in pain. "It's got me." Oh my God! The water turned red. I grabbed her wrist, bracing myself, pulling with everything I had. "Hold on, hold!" A sudden jerk nearly pulled me in. Her fingers slipped. And then, nothing but water. I staggered back, shaking, breathless. The croc disappeared beneath the surface, dragging something with it. Something I knew wasn't coming back. And yet, unbelievably, this disaster was only the beginning. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the water erupting, heard that awful snap, felt her fingers slipping from mine. I kept replaying it, what I could have done differently, what warning I should have screamed louder. But the truth sat in my gut like a stone. She ignored me. She swam into danger, and nature did what nature does. By morning, sheriff's deputies, wildlife officers, and what felt like half the neighborhood lined my shoreline. EMTs carried off what was left of Karen, alive, shocky, screaming at anyone who would listen, while a wildlife crew searched the lake for the croc. And hovering behind them all was the HOA board, led by Edmund, a man who looked like he ironed his khakis directly onto his body. He cleared his throat with the gravity of someone about to read a eulogy. "We, the HOA, will be conducting a full investigation." I stared at him. An investigation? This wasn't a zoning violation, Edmund. A crocodile attacked her. "Yes," he replied, "a crocodile that was on your property." I blinked. "My property? It's a lake, a wild lake." Edmund showed me a clipboard thick with printouts. "According to our bylaws, any wildlife hazards on your parcel are your responsibility to mitigate." I actually laughed, a dry, incredulous bark. "So I'm supposed to what? Negotiate with the crocodile?" He didn't smile. Of course he didn't. "We'll discuss liability at the next board meeting." Before I could respond, a stretcher rolled by. Karen pointed at me with one trembling hand, her face pale and furious. "Him!" she shrieked. He let it happen. He didn't maintain safety protocols. "Karen," I said gently, "I told you to get out of the water," repeatedly. She glared like she wanted to bite me herself. "You own the lake. You're responsible for every creature in it. I'm suing you." I stared at her, stunned. "You're suing me? Because a wild crocodile behaved like a wild crocodile? You should have installed nets." She screamed as the EMTs pushed her toward the ambulance. "Or fences. Or a sign." "There is a sign," I muttered. "You knocked it over last week." Edmund stepped closer, lowering his voice with faux sympathy. "I'm afraid she already filed preliminary paperwork." A chill ran through me. "What paperwork?" Edmund sighed theatrically. "She's suing you for negligence and emotional damages." I felt my stomach drop. This wasn't over. It was just about to get worse. The HOA board meeting was held 2 weeks later in the clubhouse, or as I like to call it, the room where logic goes to die. Folding chairs formed a semicircle around a too-small podium, and neighbors trickled in with the same solemn curiosity people reserve for low-budget courtroom dramas. The air smelled like burnt coffee and cheap carpet glue. Karen arrived last, wheeled in by her husband. Her lower leg was wrapped in enough bandages to mummify a small animal. She didn't look humbled. She looked vindicated, like losing a limb had given her a new platform to stand on, metaphorically at least. Edmund tapped the microphone. "We are here to review the matter of homeowner negligence, resulting in personal injury." I raised a hand. Again, just to clarify, the personal injury was caused by a crocodile. A wild one, in a wild lake. Karen leaned forward in her wheelchair, pointing at me with courtroom intensity. He refused to maintain safety measures. He let a deadly predator roam freely. I stared at her. "Roam freely? It's not a golden retriever, Karen. It's a crocodile. That's what they do." A murmur rippled through the room. Her lawyer, yes, she brought one, stood and adjusted, his tie like he was auditioning for a legal drama. "My client asserts that the defendant is responsible for the condition of his lake and the dangers therein. He failed to secure it, fence it, or adequately warn visitors." "I had a sign," I replied. She knocked it down. "On camera." Gasps. Heads turned. Karen froze. I pulled out my phone and played the footage. Karen, in full neon swim gear, storming up to the sign and kicking it over while ranting about unfair aquatic monopolies. The room erupted in whispers. Edmund frowned at Karen. Is this accurate?" she stammered. "That's out of context." Her lawyer whispered something to her. Her expression twisted. I almost felt bad. Almost. Then, from the back of the room, one of the wildlife officers who'd responded that day stood and cleared his throat. For the record, the crocodile in question was tagged. It migrated into the lake naturally. The homeowner followed all recommended guidelines and notified us immediately. Silence. Edmund adjusted his glasses, defeated. Given the evidence, the HOA finds no negligence. Karen slammed her fist into her wheelchair armrest. "This isn't fair," I sighed, leaning back. "Karen, nature isn't fair." Her lawyer packed up. Neighbors dispersed. The meeting dissolved into the usual petty chatter. And me? I went home, fixed the sign, and finally let the quiet settle over the lake again. No lawsuits. No demands. No crocodile sightings. Just peace. At least until the next HOA meeting. If this story hit home, tap like. It's one small way to back the people who refuse to be pushed around. Subscribe to Karen's Hub so you never miss another moment of real justice unfolding. And tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were standing on that dock in my shoes?